Yes, I'm started. The beginning.
Well, it's okay. There's a plethora of conversations that have been lost to the podcast because we did not record because we're
I think
dumb.
you mean a plethora.
It's the same thing. Good
You don't know.
lord. What
You
is
son of a bitch.
You have Fast and Furious going on outside of your house there?
Apparently, it's a lawnmower. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go shut my
Oh
window.
god.
Also, I do have all the Fast and Furious movies. Anywho,
Ayo.
Thanks for tuning in to 101.3 BKMG The Farce. Coming to you live from separate places, pre-recorded. Now presenting The Bane and Mickey Show.
I'm also pretty sure that never mind.
what are you pretty sure that?
I don't even know. I was talking.
Idiot!
Didn't have a full thought. Yep, that's me.
It's okay. Samesies.
What have you watched recently, Gavin?
We're just going to get right into it.
Friend. Oh, we're getting right into it. I mean,
We're just going to
welcome
deep
back
dive.
to the podcast. This is the Wayne Wicker Show.
Right
and
in
we're
there.
Talk about cryptids. Okay, ready, go. What have you watched recently?
Did you say crickets?
I said cryptids.
Oh, I thought you said crickets. Like,
Hold on. Anyways, what have you watched recently while I look up something?
I watched... Oh, Dear White People, Season 4 just started.
Oh, yeah?
So I watched a couple episodes of that. It's a musical now, which I like, but people are pissed off about for some reason, and I don't understand it because why would you hate a musical? What's wrong with that? And I just think people are stupid.
I didn't even realize the show was still going.
It's okay. A lot of people didn't. There's this new show called Ordinary Joe that started a couple days ago, last week. It shows this guy, basically he has a crossroads, but it's 3 different decisions and they lead to 3 different lives, and it's showing all 3 of them. I don't know how I feel about it so far. It's kind of interesting, but it could get really bad. So I don't know. But on the good news is British Bake Off is back on Friday.
Ayo. They're doing, this is on Netflix, right? Where they do the, release it every week.
Every week, yeah, because the actual episode aired yesterday, but it doesn't release on Netflix till Friday.
Oh.
So we got a new season of Bake Off coming, and I'm so excited.
Nice.
And I just cannot hide it.
Yes. Amazing.
What about you?
I have been watching The Mandalorian. Finally.
Again?
I know.
Or for the first time?
Finally.
For the first time. Kendall, get on the train.
Look, I did not have access to Disney for a while, and my parents recently got access to Disney, and I have been catching up on things. Even
Just
though I
because
don't
you're
really...
poor, I would have helped you out. I'm always looking to help out the less fortunate.
You know, I have plenty of friends who are like, here, you can steal my thing, and I just never got to it. I've been busy, okay? Anyways, I understand the hype. It's pretty good.
Pretty good. It's the best goddamn show on the whole goddamn planet.
But was it? What episode was it? I don't know what episode we're on, but in one of the episodes, one of the people my mom kept saying sounded like Anakin, more specifically Hayden Christensen, and I just laughed.
Interesting.
Which, I mean, I'll bring that up again later. But also, did you know he's going to be at Comic-Con this year?
Pedro Pascal or Hayden Christensen?
Got to talk about Obi-Wan.
Yeah, that's right, because he's in that Obi-Wan show.
Yeah.
Which just recently finished filming, according to Ewan McGregor.
Oh, really? Ooh. I told my parents about the show, and my dad was like, oh. And I was like, yup. It's funny, because on IMDb, Ewan McGregor is not credited until, the 9th or 10th name, even though it's about Obi-Wan, and he's in every episode, so...
I think that'd be hilarious if he's just not... it's a show about him, but he's barely in it.
Also, Hayden Christensen is credited as Darth Vader, not Anakin
Which is
Skywalker.
Weird and doesn't make any sense. Because why would they bother bringing him back at all? If he's just going to be Darth Vader.
Well, but
unless they do
maybe
flashbacks.
He takes his mask off, or maybe it's before he...
Still.
I don't even know. No, that doesn't make sense, because we do get him at the end of the third. I don't know. We'll find out.
Maybe it'll be some kind of flashbacks? I don't know.
Yeah. He's in every episode.
Again, or, maybe he'll be like a Force Ghost type deal that walks around with Obi-Wan.
like they did in because in the oh, what do you call the not remake, but like, so my dad has multiple versions of the Star Wars films.
Like the Force Ghost and the end of Return of the Jedi?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because what revisit it? No, what is that called? What is that called? Because there's also like added creatures and stuff that are like CGI added into the films to give more like background stuff. And I don't know what they call that. Remastered.
Oh.
The remastered version. Anyway, so yeah, in the remastered sixth one, Hayden Christensen is a Force ghost.
It's very weird because I still remember when it was like a middle-aged looking dude. He was just like a regular dude.
Right? Which kind of worked better. But whatever.
It's fine.
It's more, because that's
in this new canon,
more
it works
age
better.
appropriate to like when he would be when he died, but then also like it's not like Luke knew either version, really.
So either way, he's still like, huh, stranger, what's up, man?
Yeah, right?
Oh, you're my dad? Wouldn't know.
Something else I watched, though, while I rewatched, that conveniently connects to what we're going to be talking about today, is I was rewatching What We Do in the Shadows, because I love
the movie or the
movie.
show?
Oh, the movie,
The movie?
for sure. I haven't seen the show all the way through. I've seen like a couple moments and episodes when my roommates were watching it, but I haven't watched it. But yes, no, we are watching the movie, which I love. It's amazing. And conveniently, not only is it does it reference the film that we're talking about today, but also it's about the same subject, vampires.
Oh, gymnastics.
Yeah.
Vampire gymnastics.
Vampire gymnastics. No, yeah, today we're going to talk about the amazing, the wonderful, the incredible classic punk rock horror, The Lost Boys.
But they're not from Neverland,
But
hence
they're
the
not
title.
from Neverland. No, they're not. I always thought that was a pretty creative title.
I guess.
Reference to vampires, and specifically this little gang of vampires.
I never got it.
And if you think about it, Max is kind of like Captain Hook, a little bit.
Spoiler alert, Kendall. Maybe some people haven't seen this movie. It's only been out since the 80s.
Whatever. Well, I was gonna say, like, initial thoughts, like, I think this is a classic. It's pretty underrated in my opinion, just because I love it so much. But also, people don't really watch it anymore, or you are one of two people. You either saw The Goonies or you saw The Lost Boys. And I saw The Lost Boys growing up.
To be fair, I saw The Goonies, and I only recently saw this movie. And when I say recently, I mean last year, I think.
My point stands. You are one of
and
two
so
people.
as someone who didn't really watch it or didn't grow up watching it, I think it's okay.
Like,
I can see the appeal, but I think I would like it better if I watched it when I was a kid.
exactly. And it's the same thing for me with The Goonies. Like, The Goonies is great and whatever, but I didn't watch it a bunch of times growing up, or, to remember it as classically. This is the test of which Corey do you stan the most? Not
Corey Feldman.
No. Okay, let me be more specific. Which Corey Feldman do you stan the most? Goonies
Oh.
or Lost Boys?
Well, I mean, you're probably going to say Lost Boys,
Yeah,
but I would say Mouth. I do like him in this, though. I mean, Corey Feldman's always good.
he is. We love Corey and the Coreys.
Though, there an argument be made that Corey and Stand By Me is better than both of them?
That's fair. Oh, I do love the Stand By Me. Yeah, no. For
Or
sure.
maybe his cameo in Psych is just better than all of that.
I was gonna say his cameo in Psych is my favorite thing, and I'm one of maybe the few people that caught on to that, because again, I watched The Lost Boys.
Well, I was
like,
aware
people
of the Lost
understood it
Boys.
was Corey Feldman, but like people were like, I don't get it. It's just Corey Feldman. I'm like, no, it's the Frog Brothers.
Well, it got me because I was aware of Lost Boys and I knew vaguely what it was about.
Mm-hmm.
So I was still like, oh my gosh, Corey Feldman doing a vampire thing because he was in that vampire movie when he was a kid.
Hey.
I understand your reference, psych. Psych!
One of my favorite Psych episodes of the newer seasons, just because of all the horror tropes, which this movie does have basically every vampire trope you could think of, and then some, which.
But it also sort of subverts them.
It does subvert them, exactly, which makes it really interesting. But it's also, like, it started kind of the teen vampire craze in a really
Fair.
weird way. But also, this was the best of the teen vampire craze, because after this, it was all shit. If you know
Fair
what
enough.
I mean. I totally forgot, as I do a lot of times, that Joel Schumacher made this film.
I know, when you say Joel Schumacher, I just immediately think Batman Forever, because that's what he's most famous / infamous for.
Yeah.
There also is, I just looked it up, but there's another connection to the Psych episode in Vampires.
Mm-hmm.
Christy Swanson was Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yes.
But she ends up getting together with Carlton and appears more than one time. So. But that's not the point. The point is this. You can't see me pointing, but it's okay. The real point is, this is a pretty decent-ish movie.
Yeah. Well, and going off of Batman Forever, starting off that kind of dark, grisly Batman era, it makes sense that they would kind of choose Joel Schumacher. Well, actually, hold on. Lost Boys came
But Batman
first.
Forever's not that gritty, though.
No, but it's kind of in that trio, unconnected trio of, like, Batman.
Is
Returns,
it, though?
Batman Forever. It's like a
Because
weird
it's a
trio.
lot more campy
For sure. But
than, like, Tim Burton's.
Oh yeah. Dick Daughter also worked on this.
Yep, that's the Superman dude. He also worked on Goonies.
Yep. And yeah, we get our classic, our 80s Corey's boys.
The
Corey Feldman and Corey
Coreys.
Haim. I don't know.
It's Haim. Corey Haim.
And then also Kiefer Sutherland as the best 80s dickhead adolescent boy.
And Bill S. Preston.
Yep, Bill S. Preston as Michael.
What?
Maggots, Michael. You're eating maggots.
No.
His voice isn't that deep, but...
No,
Wait,
Bill...
what did you say?
I said Bill S. Preston, as in
Oh,
from Bill and Ted, i.e. Alex Winter,
as
who played Marco.
Who plays Marco? Jason Patrick plays Michael. I don't know.
Wow.
Where my brain is. Yeah.
You know, I'm never gonna see or hear the name Diane Weiss without immediately thinking of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh yeah.
And Boyle saying that he came down with a big Diane Weiss infection.
Oh my god. Back to Alex Winter real quick though. I love that he's in this, in like this. Everyone, like, I don't know, likes Marco for whatever reason, even though he's not even, like, I don't even think you even know any of the other vampires' names except for who they're credited as, except for Star and Laddie. But like all of the other vampires that are credited, except for David, you know David, but like you don't really know their other names, but you know, it's whatever. Anyways, he's got a great look. He's got like these really weird long extension dread curl things.
Yeah. Not even convinced that wasn't just him wandering on set one day and they're like, hey, you want to be in this movie? And he was like, yeah, man, all right.
Oh, for sure. I feel like half of them, you know, that was just the Frog Brothers. They wandered
That's
on
just
the
how
set.
they dress, and they were like, you're doing that movie. Shit. All right.
I will say, though, the style in this, because it is very punk rock, by the dress and the references to like MTV and the music itself, it has a very great vibe and aesthetic, and everyone is very fashionable. In my
You know what no
opinion.
TV means? No MTV.
This movie is also very, very quotable.
It's pretty cool. Cool.
Quick rundown for those of you who haven't seen it, for those of you who are Goonies kids, whatever.
Woo-hoo.
But basically,
Goonies never say die.
Basically, Corey Haim is a teenager who moves to Santa Carla,
Is
a
he a
town in California.
teenager?
He's like 14.
He looks 12.
Yeah, exactly. Well, originally they were supposed to be like 9 or 10, and then they're like, this is weird, and also we want to cast these guys who are 14 or 15.
Not 9 and 10.
And so they change it. But that's why the mom is like, yeah, you should babysit, or you should watch your brother. And he's like, I don't need a babysitter because I'm 14 fucking years old. And then they add that line of like, well, it's lonely. And we're like, Okay, whatever.
It gets lonely.
But yeah, they moved to town. Their mom just got divorced, and so the two boys moved to town with their mom to their grandpa's house. And immediately when they're driving through town, Santa Carla is kind of like Santa Cruz or even like Santa Monica. It's like a pier side, beachside California town. And immediately when they enter, there's a sign that says "Murder Capital of the World" in like these bloody painted letters. And they're like, "Oh, great, fun." And then we find out that Santa Carla is infested with vampires.
Hooray! Vampires.
And then Sam, Corey Haim, meets the Frog Brothers, who are
Can we just
vampire
talk
hunting
about this
comic
whole weird ass interaction that they have?
nerds. It's amazing.
Because it's
but
equal
also
parts
so
hilarious, but terrible.
So awkward. It's so
It's-
awkward.
They're just talking like super dead serious, like, well, this Superman shouldn't be here because it should really go here because
They're trying to be
character's
like
been introduced.
they're trying to be like that impressive like teen boy or like preteen boy, and being like,
Like,
oh yeah,
tough.
I know my stuff. But at the same time, they're literally talking about comic books.
They're trying to be like tough and badass, but there's like,
Well, and then also
They're just talking about-
the Frog Brothers like deepen their voice really low to make it all.
What do you mean,
suspenseful
man?
And like hardcore. They're like, I'm 14, but I talk like this because you should read this comic. It'll save your life, man. And I just think it's really it's really stupid and funny.
I feel like that's it was a really weird way to introduce them.
It is, but it immediately gives you the vibe of who they are. They're literally like their parents are hippies that run this comic shop. The parents are also like they're so hippie that they're like either passed out from like drinking pot or sleeping, God knows what. But these kids are just on their own and have decided to become vampire hunters.
I think the first half of the movie is just kind of sloppy,
Uh-huh.
but it sets up the second half, which is better.
Yeah.
I just feel like it should have. I don't know. It was very strange.
It is very strange because it's also like a lot of things happen for like no real reason, but also because they have to set up a bunch of things. You know?
Yeah. That's kind of what it feels like. They're just setting stuff up in this first half, but not well,
Yeah.
and then just doing whatever. Like almost imagine. I just feel like Sam should discover the vampires more on his own.
Uh-huh.
And like if he had called the Frog Brothers and then heard them like, "We're the Frog Brothers, meet us here." He's like,
Yeah,
"Oh my
or he
gosh,
sees a
these
flyer
are
or
men."
something.
Yeah,
Because it is weird that like all of a sudden, okay, so Mike drinks the blood and becomes a vampire, and then all of a sudden Sam is like knows every single thing about vampires that you could possibly know because he read one comic book that the Frog Brothers gave him.
I like when he just pisses on the comics. Like, I don't read horror comics. Just when he's like all snooty and like trying to be
know.
cool, like I don't read horror
And
comics.
then when they leave and he's like, "Yeah, I'll think about I'll pray I don't have to call you," and then like laughs at them. And we're like, dude, you're just as dorky as they are. Like,
I know. But that's what makes their dynamic both hilarious and great. Is like
Yeah.
they're the same dorks, but they're just
yeah, they're like,
trying to be tough.
yeah, which is so true of like any dorky comic book 14-year-old.
Or any 14-year-old at all, really.
Or any 14-year-old. Once again, it's a film in the 80s where the parents just don't care. Well, they do care, but they're just not around ever. The mom is present and at least like worries, and they at least call her, but like she's always gone, which makes sense. She actually has a reason because she's trying to find work or whatever. But also the grandfather's always gone. He's like going out on dates and stuff, trying to be a hip young man. Leaving the boys alone.
What I did like about the mom is that she actually sort of believes and cares what's going on.
Yeah.
She's not always just like, oh, nothing's happening.
Well, there's that good moment at the end when Sam like is like, "Mom, you have to listen to me. Like, there's vampires, blah blah blah." And she's like, "Okay, this is wild, and you're just playing with your friends, and I'm trying to do stuff." But then later she is like, "I don't know. I'm a little worried. He said this thing, and like, it's crazy. I don't believe him." But he was so sincere about it, and I'm like, "Oh, she loves her son."
Right, and she doesn't immediately dismiss him. It's only after the first couple times where he's like freaking out and ruining her dates, where she's like, all right, he might be bullshitting right now.
Yeah,
he's being
yeah.
a dick.
Yeah, especially when Max brings up like Max on the fly brings up this really good reason of why Sam is being a dickhead, but it's not true. Um,
I also think I've never seen Edward Herman that young.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Seriously.
I also didn't realize he died in 2014. That was a
Oh
while
yeah.
ago.
Yeah. Um, we come to the classic moment of boys in the cave, vampire boys in the cave eating Chinese food. Maggots Michael. Um, this is the moment that is quoted in not well referenced in What We Do in the Shadows, when they're like, "Haha, we got that from Lost Boys," when they try to get their dinner to eat spaghetti. My brother and I
Who
also
eats plain white rice? That
Well-
was the weirdest thing. Like, why is he just eating plain white
because
rice?
that's how they give it to you. Because you're supposed to eat like some noodles and then eat some rice and then eat some.
I know, but why is he eating it though?
Because they're not sharing the. They're just I don't know. They're weird.
Oh
But-
boy.
My brother and I have been quoting this since childhood, and every time we get Chinese food and we do this to each other, our parents are just like, "Can you not? Like, I'm trying to enjoy my meal, and you're over here like messing around, and I don't want to think about maggots right now."
This actually was a really good example of the rule of three
Yes.
because, he gets set up and tricked twice. So the third time when she's like, it's blood, he's like, yeah, right.
But also, he doesn't get set up and tricked the same way each time. The first time,
No,
it's
that's
like,
true.
"Here, this is rice," and he's like, "Okay, it's rice." Ha! No, it's maggots, and he's like, "What the fuck?" Oh, but it's not maggots, it's rice. And then the second time, it's like, "I'm eating da 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 da," and he's like, "Why are you eating worms?" "I'm not eating worms. I'm eating." It's like he gets tricked 3 times in like a. It's not like a full. Well, it is like a fool me once, fool me twice, but not because, it's different each time in a way. If that makes sense.
Right.
Magic of vampires. I agree with you though. That this movie, I think the whole moral of The Lost Boys is the dangers of peer pressure.
I also feel like everything
If you are
Kiefer
going-
says,
If you're gonna take away one thing from this movie,
don't give in to peer pressure.
don't give in to peer pressure.
Just because if Michael had been like, nah, bro, I don't want any of that, we wouldn't have a movie.
We wouldn't. Well, we would still because Max was trying to get them all. But also, did he like? Here's the thing. I mean, I guess we'll come to this back to this actually. Anyways, what were you saying about Kiefer Sutherland?
Oh, I feel like half the time he's intense, but the other half he's just being like oddly sexual when he's saying his lines. Like, it's maggots, Michael. Like, oh Jesus, you trying to get me to fuck these maggots or what?
Oh my gosh, yeah, and the weird thing where like Star is like the only female among all of them, but like
I don't know.
whatever.
Yeah, her character is really pretty much nothing
Yeah, it's
except
just the love
for
interest.
to be there and have Michael bone her.
Yeah, and then basically like, I think I don't remember the exact origin, but like then she's also there for Laddie. They're like, no one wants to take care of this kid, except he can come be
Yeah.
a vampire and be.
I don't
crazy
understand
with us.
what the hell was up with Laddie at all.
They explain
like-
it though. She explains it very briefly.
I don't remember that explanation.
And I don't remember
at all.
the exact explanation, but it has.
It just
to-
seemed so random and weird and out of place and for no
It is,
reason.
yeah.
Like, at least if they had just gotten Star, it would have been like, oh, she's the group sex doll.
Yeah.
Like, not good. Like, this random kid that's
wanna
doing nothing.
I want to say she let herself. I don't remember exactly, but I want to say she let herself be turned so that she was with Laddie.
Maybe. Also, terrible name.
I. Well, so is Kiefer. I mean, like, you're naming your kid after weird goat.
Kiefer's a little
Stuff.
better than Laddie.
Well,
Just because
Laddie
Laddie's...
is his nickname. Like, if you saw on the milk carton, Laddie was in, like, quotations. Like, his first name is, I don't know, something, and they just call him Laddie. Because maybe he's a junior, okay? And no one wants to call him...
Again, terrible nickname. Hey, Laddie. Not you, Laddie. Other Laddie. No, not you, second Laddie.
other
Third
one.
Laddie.
Yeah,
There's too many Laddies around here.
basically. What... Gavin, I have a question. If
No.
all your friends jumped off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge?
I would, providing Rosa had done it first.
Providing you were a vampire, and so were they?
No, I still probably wouldn't do it.
That's fair. I just thought that was an ironic moment that like I didn't even think about it that way until we brought up the peer pressure thing, and I was like, that's like the quote that every mom uses, and here Michael is like following his friends jumping off a bridge.
There was a good Brooklyn Nine-Nine quote because Jake is trying to make some sort of argument with Holt, and he's like,
Oh
if
yeah.
Rosa jumped off a cliff, would you jump off it too? He's like, well, Rosa would have done her due diligence on the height of the cliff, the depth of the water, and all this and that. And he's like, so yes, if Rosa jumps off the cliff, I would do it.
Amazing. Some really great quotes. Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know. And then him being like, lose the earring, Michael. It's not you. It's definitely not you. Also, what is it with all the vampires having like that one earring like dangling?
I know. I was
like,
noticing that.
Even the kid has one, and I'm just like, what is this style? But
it's
whatever.
so strange. But if you look, Sam has an earring too, but it's more of a stud.
He does, yeah, he does. It's just the style. Well, also, so Sam has this really like George Michael kind of look going. And
I liked all
is
of
that
his
the poster
shirts.
he has in his room? I didn't look at it close enough. He has a poster of a singer in his
I don't
room.
know.
But,
I honest to
Sam is
God
very,
thought that
like-
was Rob Lowe.
It could. Well, I was gonna say, when did The Outsiders come out? It very well.
I don't think it was. I thought Outsiders. I feel like Outsiders was
later, wasn't it?
83.
Oh, you're right. It was
I don't
83.
think so.
It could
Was it
have
really?
been. Yeah,
That was a complete guess.
it could have been Rob Lowe if Sam really likes The Outsiders.
I was just thinking like Sam is queer question mark.
Oh,
Loves Rob Lowe.
I would say so. But what am I? Who am I to say it? Or like I didn't do the character research to study, to prepare the character. So back to Hayden Christensen.
Oh, we're back on Hayden Christensen
There are
now.
so many moments in this where something Michael does or the way he looks reminds me of Anakin. And I was like, I'm pretty sure they just told Hayden Christensen to watch this movie and pretend to be Michael. Because it's like the long hair, the long bushy hair, the way his like eyes like stare out from under his brow. I'm like, yeah, they just told Hayden Christensen to watch this to study for Anakin.
Honestly, for me, I feel like he looked like Emil Hirsch.
Oh.
That was the vibe I was getting, was Emil Hirsch.
My own brother, a goddamn shit-sucking vampire. Oh, you wait till Mom finds out, buddy. One of the best lines.
This movie is pretty funny.
And then
I
he's
feel
like
like you just
backing
have to
away with like that
suspend.
crucifix finger thing, like get back, get back. And I'm like,
I just feel like you have to suspend your disbelief.
oh, you
and
do. Oh,
it makes
for
it way
sure.
better.
For sure.
Because if you try to apply logic to it, it all really falls apart pretty quick. Or
But-
you just get a little bit hammered or stoned.
Yeah,
And then
and
there's
I
really
think that's what makes this movie so great. Like it's meant for a younger audience for sure. It's that kind of horror movie. Like it's really not that scary. I don't know, and unless you don't watch like any horror movies at all, but like, yeah, you have to suspend quite a bit of disbelief. But then again, like I think, I don't know, it's kind of it's like it's not quite like What We Do in the Shadows, which is very much a satire and it's a
Right.
documentary, but it does kind of take it in that same kind of like making fun of itself kind of way.
Maybe this would have been better as like a mockumentary made by these two kids.
Can you imagine the Frog Brother? Wait, okay. Oh,
Or
wow.
even as it's made by Sam about the Frog Brothers.
I was gonna bring this up later, but they're remaking The Lost Boys.
I
which
knew
is so
that.
stupid, and it's pointless. But the only way I would accept it is if it was modern day, and Sam is like a YouTube Vine, TikTok kind of kid, and so he's recording a bunch of shit, and then he's trying to record in mockumentary style document all this vampire shit. That's the only way I would accept a reboot of The Lost Boys.
That'd be hilarious.
I don't think that's the way they're going with it, but someone
Maybe.
hire me. I have good ideas.
No, you don't.
Better than
'Cause-
bullshit remakes. That
Well,
don't
you know what you need to do? You need to get yourself a garlic t-shirt, buddy, or it's your funeral.
I love this moment. Okay, so again, the kids in the mom have a pretty decent relationship compared to most other movies in the 80s where there's no adults whatsoever. But so Sam calls his mom And the whole time, I'm like, why is she taking this seriously? Because to me, this just sounds like brothers playing, like, being dickheads and playing a prank on each other. You know? Like, him shouting in the background, like, he's coming, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, this is literally me and my brother, like, being assholes to each other. Also, considering how much of assholes they are to each other in, like, a loving sibling way throughout the beginning of the movie, like, when they meet, they just literally will not leave each other alone, but in, like, a friendly sibling way. So, I don't know. I think the mom shouldn't have come running at the wrecking call, but, like, also I guess it does show how, much she cares, but because I do suppose that it would be like, well, it is kind of like The Boy Who Cried Wolf, but I guess in most horror movies, it is them calling and the parent being like, nothing's going wrong, and then something goes wrong, and they're like, oh, I should have listened to you, blah, 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 blah. But whatever.
I just like that she wasn't an apathetic parent who was just like, I don't care about my kids.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's a nice change of pace, I would say, especially for the era. We're just gonna shit on the era and adults, but like it's fair. We get these really cheesy, shaky cam POV like drone shots every time the vampires are flying.
Oh no, not another high angle.
Yeah, but it's also like they're not accurate to what a flying POV would look like in a way. And then also there's those times where they go like backwards because they want to zoom out of the cave, but like it's supposed to be a vampire POV, and so I'm like, are the vampires flying backwards out of the cave, or is this just for show?
Oh, imagine they're just like, we gotta look at the cave as we go, boys.
Because if we
Why?
went the other way out the cave, you probably wouldn't understand where we are. But
there's a lot of really good practicals.
There are. Oh yeah, I think that's something I love about this movie, and just, I mean, we need to dive back into practicals more, which Jack and I are kind of trying to do, but it's great. We get the moment where Max comes over for dinner, and the Frog Brothers get invited because they're pretty sure he's the head vampire, but also it's not like they have any clues up until this point except for a vicious dog, where then he's like, oh, it has to be a hound of hell, and I'm like, which is kind of, I guess, where you're saying all the sloppy stuff comes from, because it's like, oh, we just decided he's the head vampire because we haven't met any other adults, and his dog is vicious and tried to attack your mom.
Right.
Like, and then you were reading comics and decided it. Like, I'm like, there's no other reasoning. But then it does kind of add to that ridiculousness because Max is able to go to get through all of their tricks and traps. That it's kind of like, oh yeah, they're just big dumb kids and chose the first adult to think of. So
right.
It does kind of play to that. I wanted to do this dinner scene for my lighting scene recreation in college.
You should have done it.
But no one else in my group wanted to.
Well, you have a stupid
garlic,
group.
Don't you?
Sounds like your group was stupid.
They were. We ended up doing Stranger Things. It was fine, but it wouldn't have been as fun.
No, I like garlic. It's just a lot.
That awkward moment when all your vampire traps go wrong. Sad
I
days.
found that Edward Herman also played Herman Munster.
Oh,
in
yeah?
the movie version of the Munsters.
That's funny, because then they make that reference to Eddie Munster when Laddie tries to attack them.
And that's why I brought it up. Symmetry.
Ayo. I like the classic montage preparation of getting ready to fight the house. It's very like Home Alone, like setting up the traps. Gotta break into the church and fill your canteens with holy water in the middle of like a freaking baptism.
It's my house. I have to defend it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they are pretty smart in like putting the holy water in their water pistols and stuff. I really want to do a Frog Brothers costume for Halloween or Comic-Con. I think it would be great.
It reminded me of the Community episode. It was like the tag at the end. I don't know if you remember it, but Troy and Abed have like big ass super soakers.
Oh yeah.
And Pierce walks up with a little squirt gun. And he's like, I hope that's the tiny gun you used to throw at us to distract us. But you grab the big one strapped to your back, and he sprays him in the face. That's pepper water.
Yes, I don't remember which one that is, but then that makes me think of all the paintball episodes where for some reason someone has a gun taped to their chest. I think it's Jeff.
It was
That-
Jeff, and that was the
Or is it Chang
first
that has one
paintball.
taped to his?
That was the
That
first
was
one.
The first one.
Because
Those
he
are the
does the
best
Die Hard
episodes.
thing where it's taped to his back.
Oh right, yeah, the best
and that
episodes.
That was the first paintball.
I like watching just all the paintball episodes.
They are pretty great.
This their dumb explanation of like some implode, some explode, and then we basically see every version of that when they kill the vampires.
Thank goodness. I'd hate to be shortchanged.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I think, yeah, the second half definitely ramps up in all of the gore and practicals because that's when the big fight happens, and up until that point, it's like light effects and like spooky magic, but nothing actually
Spooky.
happens, except up until I think the change is when they're in the tree and David is like, now you get to see who we really are. Vampire
Now you know
mode.
who you really are, Michael.
Join us.
Michael? Do you think his name is Dwight in another life?
And then, of course, we get the classic, I think this movie could almost end on a freeze frame, freeze frame joke, stage audience laughing.
All the damn vampires.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you could end in a very cheesy, moment.
But they very smartly did
Grandpa.
not. Oh, Grampy.
Like,
Oh, Pop Pop. You're so crazy.
very much sitcom ending. Yeah, I don't know. Great stuff. I love this movie. Again, mostly because I grew up on it. You think it doesn't hold up as well, and that's fair, because it's.
I think
definitely
I
meant
probably
for-
think most of what it doesn't hold up is just because I don't have as big of a connection to it when I was a kid.
Totally
Though
fair.
I'm pretty sure if I watched Goonies right now, I'd have some similar-ish thoughts, but I'd still remember it more fondly.
Yeah. And it does, I think it holds up in terms of its aesthetic. It set out to be this very specific aesthetic of film, which was also a film that had never really been done at this point. So it set out to do that and achieved that and holds up to that, because a lot of times the aesthetics we get from films nowadays is copying these aesthetics or trying to be there's not a lot of new. We need a new not era, but
Something.
yeah, what do you call not specifically fashion exactly, but lifestyle,
Style?
We need new lifestyle. There's not a lot of punk rock, we can't just copy punk rock. We need to create our own new punk rock style, and it's not called punk rock, but it's we got to come up with our new
Junk rock.
Oh my god.
I feel like the other thing is that we talked about this before, but it also is hard to have something like this hold up, especially if you haven't seen it
Oh yeah.
before now, because then you're like, oh, well, this is like this thing and this thing.
And then you
This
find
other
out that
thing,
it
but,
came out
I mean-
before any of those things.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously it did, but, it's just like you make all these comparisons like, oh, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you've seen this before because of this.
Yeah. And yeah, we definitely brought that up. I think maybe with Citizen Kane, that the reason we look at some of those what are considered classics is because a lot of things are based on it, but you just don't realize how much it's inspired or influenced things because of when it came out and whatever era you grew up in,
Right.
or
Especially
what you were
now.
prone to watching and what was pop culture. But yeah,
It's hard. It's hard to judge that. It's hard to judge things fairly.
uh-huh.
You'd have to look at the time they are, but you always are just going to have your own bias.
For
My
sure,
bias
yeah.
is primarily being that I didn't see it as a child, and I loved the Goonies.
For sure, for sure. I will say though, definitely some good practical effects, some good makeup. I really like the vampire makeup aesthetic. They get that weird vampire fashion that you
like
then
Buffy.
later see in What We Do in the Shadows or Buffy, or I don't know, I haven't watched Twilight, but I think they're kind of normally dressed. But some kind of some very punk rock, George Michael. There, Laddie has a Thriller kind of style jacket. You get some great influences for the fashion, but then also their makeup itself is very simple, but also still horrifying in a way. They have like these weird like extended like temple bones, and then they just have the fangs and their eyes do this weird thing. But like it's very simple, but it's it's not anything like crazy,
Yeah.
And
That's
it works
where
well
I'm
too.
guessing
Like,
it came from Buffy,
yeah, and
or where Buffy got their idea, because
yeah.
they look very similar to that.
Yes, they do.
Thanks, Lost Boys.
Thanks, Lost Boys.
Thanks, Lost Boys. You like that? You wish more movies were succinct.
And shorter. I think I think I rewatched Minari a couple weeks ago, and that was also like just under 2 hours. And I was like, why? Like, we have so many movies these days that are like 2.5 to 3 hours, mostly pushing on the 3 hour mark. And a lot of times it's just like unnecessary content. And like, I will say, like, yeah, this plot was kind of rushed and jumbly and whatever, but like, it's short
Yes.
and simple and gets the point across, and it's just for fun. It's a fun show, got some jokes, got some moments, got some spooks, like.
For me personally, I could have used about maybe 15 to 20 more minutes of it.
Uh-huh.
Just to get
maybe just
a
to tie in
slightly
the
better
middle
idea.
A little bit to connect those two parts.
Yeah, a slightly better beginning.
But otherwise, yeah, I think, and like still that would barely put it at 2 hours, like not even. I don't know. I think there's just this weird, like, in the last like 10 years, I would say, where like every movie has to be close to 3 hours, and I'm like, no one wants to be here for this.
Well, 2 hours is the new hour and a half.
Yeah.
2 hours is a lot more average than it used to be.
Yeah. But also, most of the time, those movies that are that long have content that's just filler.
Or they're Marvel movies, and
Or they're Marvel movies.
Spend, I don't know, 10% of their time setting up other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If not more.
I think one of my big, the big takeaways from this movie is that I want a creepy cave hangout.
Well, we all want creepy cave hangouts, Kendall. No, there's not enough caves to go around.
Let's go find a creepy cave hangout and then make a vampire gang.
That's where we can start doing the podcast.
Yeah, they are making a remake of The Lost Boys, which is supposed to star Jaden Martell, who plays Bill in It, and then also Noah Jupe, who plays the son in A Quiet Place. And it's directed by Jonathan Entwistle, who did The End of the Fucking World and I Am Not Okay with This, which are two pretty good.
Is it a movie or is it a show?
It's a movie.
I thought it was a show.
No, I'm pretty sure it's a movie.
You're probably right. I just thought it was a show.
I think it would be interesting as a show, but then also like.
Oh, you know what I've been thinking of actually?
Like What We Do in the Shadows or something.
They were doing a remake on CW called The Lost Girls, and that's the show I was thinking of.
But yeah, I mean, it's once again one of those horror movie classics that you don't need a remake of. Like, we didn't need Pet Sematary, we didn't need another. Well, Halloween isn't really a remake; it's kind of like a weird extension. I think they made a Cujo remake or whatever, or they were making a Christine one. I don't know, but it's again one of those things where it's like, we don't need a remake. Like, just have your like. I don't know.
Here's where I'm going to disagree with you. I disagree because I feel like this is a very good movie, but I feel like there's stuff, especially if you make it now, that can be added to it that will make it better.
Yeah, but then it's
i.e. a better story.
But then it's like you're not even making anything new because you're just taking something old and like, I don't know. Like, why can't we just make more new, innovative, great vampire stuff?
Because no one's going to buy it if it doesn't say Lost Boys.
Fair. I don't know. I just find it, I just get annoyed when everyone's like, yeah, we're going to remake this thing. And I'm like, why can't you come up with new stuff?
I mean, I feel like, again, the Pet Sematary one is definitely probably one of the worst remakes that's come out, mostly just because of the ending, which is terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't even mind that they changed up that it wasn't Gage who gets hit by the truck, but I feel like they ended it very stupidly.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
The
so
new
here, like, if it wasn't a remake, if it was more like,
or well,
there's a trilogy in the Lost Boys where they brought back Corey Feldman, and Corey Haim was in the first one, or the second one, I believe. But they continued it, and they were slightly older, and they would just fought more vampires and whatever. And then it's kind of, if they were doing something like that, where it was like maybe they're kids or whatever, but then it kind of you get a weird, I don't know, you know?
or maybe it will be more of a remake continuation deal where they will be in the same town and it'll
Yeah.
be different kids
Yeah, like it's
almost.
not the Frog Brothers and it's not Sam and Michael, but it's
Yeah,
still in Santa Carla,
I understand what you're saying. Right.
you know?
It's like in Santa Carla and it's these kids, and I'm assuming they'll at least try and get Corey Feldman.
Yeah, because then it's at least like, like Ash versus the Evil Dead or something where like it's not a remake of Evil Dead, it's just kind of like a continuation sort of
Here's
thing.
some more Evil Dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
Like
here's some more Lost Boys content.
that's what I'm hoping it'll be instead of like, no, it actually says it's a revival. Follows two brothers who discover that the new town. Well, I mean, maybe they could, I don't know.
I mean, they call it a revival, so
They do
they're
call it a
just
revival.
reviving it. That's not very.
Oh,
Revival's a
so
very
it's not.
ambiguous
Yeah,
term.
so it could be. I am gonna give them, because Jonathan Entwistle has made some decent stuff recently with some this nice gritty aesthetic and very smart new stuff, and so I'm hoping he takes
You
this in
know
a
what I
very
think
smart
really
way.
just needs to happen is any horror movie has to go to Blumhouse automatically.
Fair, yeah.
And
All
it
the
might not
best
always
stuff.
turn out the best, but I feel like Blumhouse really knows what they're doing.
They do, yeah. They do know what they're doing. Yeah, for sure.
Did you ever see The Invisible Man?
I haven't yet.
Let's
I haven't.
do
I
it.
think it's on HBO.
I think so too. Highly recommend.
Okay, I will watch it. Well, I think we've pretty much covered
The
that
whole.
film.
I
Yep.
believe we have a relevant topic this time.
Yes, I came up with a relevant topic. I don't know
Lame.
how good it is, but in a world of vampires, would you
Nope.
prefer to be a full vampire, a half vampire, or a vampire hunter? Specifically, the Frog Brothers. Not
Well, I don't want to be a
specifically,
frog brother. If I'm going to be a vampire hunter, I want to be more like Van Helsing.
but ooh,
But on the other hand, I'd rather just be a vamp because they can live forever and they kill people.
this is true.
And I
But
hate people.
would you prefer to be a full vampire or a half
I want to be no half measures.
vampire? Yeah, I mean, like, there aren't any perks that come with being a half vampire other than, like,
You're just could be human again.
yeah. But, like, you still can't eat food, and you still can't be in the sun after your transition, and I don't know. So, yeah, there's not really a lot of perks to that. Full vampire, maybe. But I'm kind of like the friend in What We Do in the Shadows where I am vegetarian, so having to live the rest of my life drinking blood is not really my style, so maybe I'll just become a werewolf. Um,
You want to be lame.
but I think I would want to be a vampire hunter. I think it'd be fun. Or just a cryptid hunter, silver bullets, wood stakes, crucifixes,
We're doing steak.
all the good stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Should we also do a random topic? Because that one was kind of short. And we haven't done one for a while, I feel like.
We probably should. We got to give the audience what they're craving for. All one of them.
What they come here for. Our one audience member is Bree.
She doesn't even listen.
What the heck, Bree?
Don't worry, my
Fired.
mom listens.
Our one audience member is your mom.
Yes. Hi, Mom.
What does this say?
Butts Carlton.
Secret president? No. What? Yes? I don't get it.
You know, it was probably written
I'm
like
pretty sure that's an inside joke from
something.
2 years ago, probably pertaining to Film Club. Okay, new topic. Would you touch a truck?
Yes.
Are there better memes?
I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
But yes, I would touch a truck. You know what? That's 2 duds. Maybe
That's
we
2
should
duds?
just let people go before they stop listening for realsies.
Third time's a charm. Third time's a charm, Gavin. This is why
That
we
was
need
our
to
third time.
refill our topic box. What kind of drunk are you? Ooh, we're getting spicy.
I guess happy.
I think
And
I'm
then
just
I
a
get
tired
tired.
drunk.
I get more energetic for a little while, and then I just get really tired after a certain point.
Yeah.
I sort of go like, woo!
Yeah. And I just get like hyper for like 30 minutes, depending how much. And then, yeah, I just get tired.
That's okay.
Yep.
Happens to the best of us.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, it does. Well,
Yes.
thank you for listening in today. And a little bit of a quiet ending there, but that's okay. We'll see you around next week. Make sure you like, follow, rate, and share, and let us know how we're doing. And if you liked this episode, go ahead and share it with a friend.
Well, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you like to listen, or just go to baneandmickeyshow.buzzsprout.com.
You can visit on desktop and mobile. You can also visit us on _podcast on Instagram for weekly updates, little film fun news things, some stupid memes, and sometimes BTS things.
And, in case you missed it, we do have a Twitter now,
Whoa.
so tweet at us at baneandmickey. Give us a follow, tell us how much you love or hate us.
Give us some comments, give us some
And
topics, and we'll be sure to include
please.
them. All right. Have a good week, everybody.
Hooray.
Bye.
Bye.